I gotta remove this Twitter one because it's acting funny. So
you're live.
Oh, am I? Oh, I'm sorry.
You're live.
I had some stuff going on, technical issues. But hello, everybody. Welcome to the Black Butterfly Podcast. You are now in the cocoon room. We have a special guest and a special day, so we apologize because we understand the Bears are playing today. I got a bunch of texts about that. So, but we are so excited about this interview because it's a business from the area, from this Gary area, Northwest Indiana. And so I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Amaru.
Hello, welcome to the Black Butterfly Podcast. I'm Candace. Sorry for the delay of some technical difficulties. And we would like to welcome our special guest, John Gold, and he'll introduce himself.
Hello, my name is John Gold, and I am the CEO at Tradewind Services, now in Merrillville, Indiana, but formerly from Gary and still doing services in Gary.
Okay, well, thank you. Welcome. We are grateful to have you. Welcome. Question: why did you guys relocate from Gary to Merrillville?
Probably, and I've been at Tradewind a long time, so the years all blur together. But my guess is about 12 years ago, we were actually having some building issues.
Okay.
The building was built in parts starting in like 1961, and then another edition in 71. And so it was getting kind of, some parts of the building were getting pretty old. So we had a roof issue and had some sticker shock when we got the cost of fixing the roof. And now it was like $400,000 or something. And so our board of directors thought maybe we should do an overall analysis of the whole building before we started piecemealing that kind of money. And it came back this humongous amount of stuff that needed to be fixed, like $4 million or something like that.
Wow.
And it just really wasn't economically feasible to put that kind of money in that old of a building in a non-business area. Tradewinds was, and we had a great 45 years with our day service. We're still there providing services, but our physical location there. But it was in a residential area, so it was kind of an odd place to have something. And then when we needed all this improvements in the building, it just didn't make sense. So we started looking around and in Gary and other places. And after about a year or so, a donor came up to us and donated this facility we're in now. And we did a big improvement remodel on it. But just being in Merrillville, just really close to the Route 30, Route 65 intersection, it's just been amazing the growth that we've had because we are in such a visible location. So the drive of it was because we had building issues, and then it ended up just really being a great thing for us, putting us in a perfect location.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for the update. Yeah, $4 million is a lot. It's not nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. The banks were hesitant to help us out with that. We're in that old of a building where we were. So we did what we had to do.
Where was your because so the reason for the interview also, so we'll get into that, but I have a personal connection with it. But where was the location that when it was in Gary?
7th Avenue.
Really?
5901 West 7th Avenue. I was there for, I don't know, 20 something years, 30, a long time out. 5901 West 7th Avenue.
Wow. Okay.
Just a block north of, was it West Side High School?
Oh, West Side High School.
Oh, really? Wow.
Was that on 9th? I think. Yeah, we were just like a block north of that. I think that was the school that was there.
Okay.
I tried my best not to remember what West Side is. My mom and dad went there, but I went to Word High School. So.
Yeah, we're close to that.
We have our word of a scripture of today, and then after we do the scripture, then we'll go ahead and ask you those questions that everyone is excited to learn about.
Okay. So our scripture today is Proverbs 8:10-11, and the 10. So let's take it away.
Okay, so say of wisdom, take my instruction instead of silver and knowledge rather than gold, for wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with her.
What does that mean to you?
I actually chose wisdom because according to you, what you reported is that your family sent you to Tradewin because they thought it may have been some cognitive issues or some developmental delay. However, you said that you are grateful that you had an opportunity to go to Tradewinds because you learned a lot. And then from what you learned, you were able to apply the knowledge and the wisdom to, your current life right now. So that's why I chose wisdom. And I think growing up, a lot of people heard about Tradewinds, but we didn't actually know what the program was specifically about.
Yeah. So I was the first of my mother's 3 kids, right? And so I didn't start talking till I was almost 5 in full sentences. I would point and I would mumble little words here and there. And so my mother immediately was alarmed, like, oh my God, there's got to be something wrong with him. And my auntie Deborah, who I love so much to this day, she's like, ain't nothing wrong with that boy. So what ended up happening though, my mother got me services at Tradewinds, and so I had to be 3, 4. I remember them teaching me sign language, and just speech, just helping me with my speech. And so, as you see now, I have no issues with my speech.
You must have done a good job. You don't stop talking,
right? But that's why it's so dear to my heart, because I'm a living witness of some of those challenges that you may have developmentally. And so you guys did a great job with me. And so it's funny, like I was sharing this story. I think it was a blue bus. I used to have to take to Tradewinds, right? So I had to go, I think probably once a week or twice a week or whatever. And so my little brother at the time, when he was alive, he would get upset. Like, I want to ride the blue bus. I want to ride. My nickname, Boo. Why Boo get to ride the blue bus? My mother like, do you know why he's riding the blue bus? There's a reason why he's riding the blue bus. And so as I got older and then I see other kids with some of the same issues, I always revert back to that. So when I never judge a book by its cover when I see a kid who has some challenges up front, because I'm living witness to that. So, but this is why I'm excited about this interview, because of that. So.
Well, thank you. So our first question to you is, what is Tradewin? Because I heard it growing up, but I never knew what it was. I didn't know what the programming was about. And so very interested in knowing what Tradewin provides for the community.
That's changed over time. It's expanded. It's because we keep taking on more things, but basically our mission is to help people with special needs to achieve their greatest independence in life, whether it's in their social life or their residential or their health or their job. It's to maximize people's potential and independence. Okay. We have a huge variety of programs, starting with our children's program for kids with disabilities, which is what we originally started, but now we do all ages basically.
Okay.
In many
thank you. That was my next question. My next question was, it was the second question actually, but the next one was like, do you know what the inspiration around Tradewinds were?
Starting it up, you mean?
Yes.
Well, again, and I've been at Tradewinds. I started at Tradewinds in 1986, so I've been at Tradewinds for a long portion of Tradewinds history. But I wasn't around in the 50s when it started up, but it started kids with disabilities and special needs, and they were being served in the basements of schools and churches or homes or something. And then the community and especially the trades, the labor unions, got together and decided that the need was so much that really they needed to have its own building and own place where the services could be provided. So I think it was about 1961, which was the year I was born. So the same year, the Tradewinds at the time, and I don't know if it's still the case, was the largest volunteer labor built facility in the country. And then it was for the kids with disabilities. And then there were 3 expansions at the Gary facility over the year until we moved out here to an even bigger place.
Okay, thank you. You actually have maybe not a question, but if you know her, Latoya Richardson Maybon, she said, I worked for Tradewinds for 6 years and I still get my business science made at the center in Maryville. And I believe
that's awesome. I mean, we've touched a lot of lives, and I hope it was a good experience.
I'm sure if she was there for 6 years, she's actually one of our alumni. She went to high school with her.
Okay.
So if she stayed somewhere for 6 years, maybe it means that she actually enjoyed it.
We now have 300 employees, so there's a lot of people that come and go through over the years.
He's going through the questions pretty fast. So I think it was Al. He said, good to know how Tradewinds originated. I also kind of want to respond to that. That's amazing because you said that they were being served in the basement of churches, in the basement of schools. And so for me, I'm a therapist. That social isolation, meaning that they wasn't integrating into other children, could be difficult. You know, you always want to be inclusive. And sometimes, you know, kids feel ostracized when it's only kids who are struggling with the same issues that they have. So good. It's good that they,
and there's no doubt,
out of the basement.
Remember, that was in the 1950s and we've evolved over time. Yes.
Right.
It was a long time ago.
Absolutely. Okay. So my third question was, and you talked about developmental delays, and I was wanting to follow up about developmental delays. Are kids learning there, or your clients, and also cognitive? Is that part of the programming?
It definitely is part of the programming. Yes, we do a variety of services, and developmental delays is certainly something that we have a lot of programs for.
Okay, and so if a family didn't know how to access your program or information, how would they do that? And also, how would they, if the kids are already in school and they wanted to, remove them from the school because they don't feel like they're getting the adequate skills, how can they participate in the programs that you guys offer?
You certainly can go to our website and find out how to contact us. You contact our admissions department.
Okay.
In the phone number and the email that you have there. And then a lot of our funding sources, depending if what age you are and what service, you may have to go through the state agency. So you might call our admissions department, and you might, I'm sorry, I'm reading the
comment. Okay, I'll read it for you soon as you get done.
But you might call here, and then you might be referred to another agency, because that's the way the state might make you do it. And then you pick which agency you want to go to, and there's a list of agencies. And if you want to go to Tradewinds, that's who you pick.
Okay. I have a quick question. When you say state agency, because I know right now it's been like a whole debacle with FSSA and then other programs about home health care, mental health care, any kind of services with the waivers. When you say state agency, are you referring to FSSA or any other? Okay, so they need to contact FSSA.
Yes,
the and Bureau of Development
Disabilities. Okay. I believe for us, Gary.
Is it a bees waiver? Is that because some people? Okay, some people they don't know the ins and outs of all that.
For some of our services, that's what it is. Yes.
Okay, yes. I found out what the bees waiver was because I actually worked at DCS when I was getting my master's. So, if people are watching and your kids are struggling with some developmental delays and you don't know what agency to access, he's referring to FSSA, and then there are waivers for children, and you would know specifically what waiver your kid have if you're already signed up for it, or you can talk with your primary care provider, and they should be able to tell you that. So this message is from Latoya. She said, I loved working for Tradewinds, great work environment. Only reason I left is because I received my RN. She's a nurse now.
Okay, great.
Best job I've ever had. Please elaborate on the different programs for the community to support.
Well, first of all, that's great to hear, again, because we have 300 staff now, and I've been here for so long. So I've seen thousands of people over time, and not every one of them is going to be as happy as Latoya is, but hopefully most of them are.
Yeah.
But I'll just start with the kids program. And then I'll just work kind of up, and we have so many, hopefully I get all of them or most of them. But we have an integrated daycare for kids, as 6 months to infants, 2-year-old rooms, 3 to 5-year-old rooms, where we provide services for kids with developmental delays. And as you said, our program, the really good thing about our program is they're not isolated just to be amongst. It's a daycare for everybody. So some kids may have a disability, some kids may not. Some of our staff use our daycare for their kids, and some kids have maybe behavior issues, but different types of issues. But so it's an all encompassing. So all the kids get to see kids who are not just like them, and it's just a great way to start someone's learning that everybody's not like you, but everybody is a person and can get along. So we also have speech and occupational therapists that see our kids on staff. We have a couple of those, and so it's kind of a one stop for all. A parent can leave their child here at 6 a.m. They can get their daycare. They can learn, and if they need speech or occupational therapy services, they can get that as well. Our therapists additionally contract in the charter schools and in some public schools. So they actually go into the community and do that as well. We have a big part is an employment division going up to our adults now. So we have employment training. So somebody may have a disability and may need a lot of assistance, or somebody may just need a little bit of assistance. But we have employment specialists who will train people to be able to have a job in the community. We have great business partners where we place people in jobs, and then we support them while they're learning and for some time afterwards. You don't just want to place somebody in a business and then leave them. They may need. It takes a little bit of adapting, and it also takes some training for the employer. They may have to make some small accommodations, and people are hesitant at first, but when you really get down to it, small accommodations are nothing, and we have some great partners that are willing to do that. So getting people with that is a huge area of the population that is not employed, and so placing people with disabilities in the community and assisting them to hold the jobs is a big component of what we do. We also have what we call a pre-vocational, and there's a lot that goes on with that. But basically, we do at Tradewinds, we have jobs. We have some local businesses, and we actually our second biggest job is a company out of New York that indirectly found us just based because of our website, and they send I don't even know how many thousands of packaging jobs for our clients to do. So, so not only place in the community, they do the work here. So, our biggest job is actually with the Department of Defense. Since about 1987, we have sewn garments for the Department of Defense through a set-aside program for people with disabilities. So not everybody on the job has to have a disability, but there has to be 75% disabled hours working on the jobs. And we've done in high production times, several 100,000 garments a year for the Department of Defense, putting people with disabilities to work and giving them, paying jobs. Tradewinds it's not just one thing. We're not just somebody's place to get therapy or services. We're not just the place to get employed. We're not just their place to live. We're like their family, like a second family for a lot of the people. We have a residential program. We have 6 8-bed group homes scattered throughout Lake County, where we're 24/7 coverage. If any of the residents are home, they have to be staffed. Now during the day, hopefully maybe they go to employment or they come to Tradewinds for their day service. But if it's 24/7 coverage, and then we have the waiver that you were talking about, and the residential waiver, they live in apartments and it's not 27. Somebody may just need a couple hours a day to make sure they get up and get to work. Some may need 10 hours a day. So we have about 15 apartment complexes in Lake and Porter County. We also have a deaf service program providing interpreting and other stuff or other programs for people with hearing issues, including housing for them, because it's really hard for them to find housing too a lot. So we do that. We have some community-based programs in our adult programs, TVT. They go in the community. A lot of the push now is to get people out of the agency and in the community. So they go on field trips. They go on learning trips. A lot of things. 2 years ago, we started a food pantry, and we have food distribution days, and we served over 2,000 people. That's a huge need in probably everywhere, but in Northwest Indiana. So now that's a growth area for us. Another part of our production. I'm just winging it here.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Because I never knew that you guys had all of these programs within TradeWinds. Real quickly before you move on, is that service, is it available in Indianapolis, or is it just specific to Maryville and Gary area?
What service?
TradeWinds in general.
Where I'm sitting as we speak is in Maryville, Indiana. This is our main facility. Okay. We have another facility across the street, and then we have about 15 properties throughout Lake and Porter County, and we do a little bit in some other counties that are adjacent, but for the most part, it's Northwest Indiana.
Okay. Yeah, you can continue talking because you have some comments. That's from Nikki. She said, wow, such great information. So I believe, again, people heard about TradeWinds, but they did not know what all it encompassed. So.
Okay. And that's my sister-in-law from Wisconsin. So.
What's that?
She's from Wisconsin. That's my sister-in-law from Wisconsin.
Okay. Part of our production area is we have a sign shop where we do signs, vehicle wraps, for businesses. We do pretty much just about every sign. It's a great training area for someone with disabilities. It takes somebody with pretty good skills, though, because there's a lot of high-tech stuff, but it's a good opportunity for someone maybe who just needs a little bit of assistance to learn a high-tech skill. I know I'm forgetting, I'm on the spot here, so I know I'm forgetting some, but again, our population is probably, 6 months to we've had 90-year-old people in our day programs and in our residential programs. So it's the gamut of people. It's all different types of disabilities. Again, it's the way I look at it is we're like their family, and some of them really feel this is where their friends are. This is where their social life is. It's where a lot of them get their housing from. It's where they get their employment from. It's where they get needed developmental and therapy services. So kind of just a bit of everything.
Okay. And then we thank you for so much for the information. We have, you already talked about the occupational therapy, and Eugene, Amara, you wanted to share your story?
Well, I did. I already did.
Oh, you already shared it.
What year were you at Trade? I started in 86. Did we overlap?
Because I was born in 80, so it had to be between 83 and 85. So I
just missed you.
But it is funny because I have a friend who his son has special needs, and he has a podcast too. And so it's funny because we have these conversations all the time. And with my wife being a psychiatrist too, she always says we all on the spectrum. It's just some their remnants are a little higher than others, right? Mm-hmm. She said because people are quick to be labeled ADHD and all these wild diagnoses, but I always walk in that breath of yes, you can have some challenges in the beginning, but that's not the end all be all, right? That's why the services matter, because you may, I was always intelligent. I just couldn't talk. And as you see, I have a problem with that now. So that doesn't right. But no, I'm loving, and I'm as you were talking, I'm listening to the different buckets you guys got your hands in, and that's refreshing because usually in nonprofits they're usually centered on one specific area, right? And so what caught my attention was the housing piece, also the daycare piece, right? And so like you said, it's like you guys are putting your arms around the community, and so I really appreciate that because obviously now more than ever is actually needed. So that's much appreciation to what you guys are doing.
And also when you know better, you actually do better. Growing up, when you heard the term TradeWinds, I think it was associated, with the program that wasn't so good. And not saying the program wasn't good, but people actually didn't know what it was, and there was a stigma with family members or kids or adults that had cognitive or developmental delays. And so people probably did need the services and their family really pushed for them to go. But because they were afraid of what the community would say or what their friends would say or what their family would say, they wouldn't go themselves or they wouldn't put their kids in there. Can you speak to how the benefits of actually getting kids into the program very early on, how successful they are into, moving into the future or into their careers or even into their social life?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but it is critical to get somebody in at a very young age. The longer you wait, the more obstacles you're going to have. So definitely, if there's an issue, they should be looked into as early as possible. And I really think the stigma that used to be is, to me, I mean, maybe I'm too close, but I don't feel it's there anymore. I don't think when someone says, I think you're right. Many years ago, when someone said trade winds, people don't want to say that they need trade. But now I don't think it's a big deal. I think people think it's a good thing, not a stigma.
Absolutely. When you learn that it's a good thing, people are trying to literally the list now to get into these programs. Sometimes yourself, the list is long. There might be a waiting list to get kids into these services. And even with like mental health, I think for so long, different communities did not want to go to seek treatment for mental health. Right. Now it's, commonplace, like, hey, something's going on. I need to talk about stress and anxiety and all those things. So just, giving people the information, now they are aware of it. And so now, like I said, the waiting list can be very long to get into these services. And so do you know how long your waiting list is or how long it has been in the past?
We have had waiting lists before. We've expanded we've expanded. I mean, when we were in Gary, the last year that we were there, we served about 500 different people. I mean, some of these people had multiple services, and now we serve about 1,000. So, okay. And then with our food pantry, there's another couple of thousand annually. So, we've had some waiting lists, especially in the adult waiver type of programs. But for the most part, we've just expanded, and we plan to continue to do that. So I don't want to speak for the state agencies. I'm not positive the current status, but I think that if someone needs a service, hopefully we can get them in relatively soon. I'm not saying we never have waiting lists, but hopefully it's varied over the years. Some years it's like the waiting list is 2 years, but I don't think that's the case now.
I hope not. So is there any way, because I know for some people, some families, especially with aging parents, if they have kids that have struggled, with some developmental delays, and they're still with their parents may be in their 60s or 70s now, and the kid might be in their 30s and 40s, but they want to get them the services so that they become self-sufficient as the parents, continue to age, or something might happen. They don't have to figure out who's going to take care of their child. Is there like a case manager available or someone to kind of help walk them through those steps?
That's definitely a great point. If, people are used to taking care of their kids, but parents aren't probably going to be here forever, and you don't want to wait until it's too late. So my suggestion is, even if you're not ready to make a move at this point, you still want to have the information so you know when the time is. I would call our admissions department, and they can hook you up with the proper people to speak with.
Okay. And I know that's important, because even with us, we graduated in 1999, and I know that our parents are aging and our family members are aging, and some people, like Eugene said, some people kids have some things that are going on. You want to have that in place just in case, and so I feel it's really important. And a lot of times people don't really talk to people outside of their group or their circle, so they're not informed about what services are available. So right. When Amaru told me that you guys were coming onto the show, I was like, that is so great. Now people can actually see what resources are available in Maryville, Porter County, or Gary, so they can get their friends and family signed up for the program.
There's a lot of people that need our services, and they may not, like you said, they may not know where to turn to. So
yeah. Absolutely. You have another question. Oh, do you have this from Latoya? You are our super guest today. Do you have a program for children that are autistic?
I don't know that it's specifically geared for kids who are artistic. Most of our our what's the curriculum? Sorry, senior moment. Most of our curriculum is through the Geminis early Head Start program. So it basically follows that curriculum. So not specifically, but again, sometimes kids have more than one diagnosis, or people have more than one diagnosis. So certainly, I think we could be a good resource if we can't specifically help the person we're talking about.
Okay.
Can you talk?
I have. Oh, go ahead.
I have a quick question. Can you talk about the partners that you partner with? Because I've seen some of your sponsors like United Way, and so can you talk about the impact that they have had with you guys expanding? And can you talk about the expansion? Because I think as Lisa was talking about, you guys were looking to expand your building. I forget. I'm not pertaining to the conversation, but she was saying you're looking to expand in other ways too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you specifically mentioned United Way, and we've had partnerships with United Way over the years. I don't know that it's quite as, they've kind of changed a little bit how they do things over years. So there's still partnership. It may not be as much as it used to be, but we partner with. I mean, I love partnerships. I think that's the best way to go. Working with, we're competitors, but we're friendly competitors. Partnerships are a better way to go. So. We partner with so many people, whether it's funding sources or whether it's business people that further our mission. And then as far as your expansion question, I mean, we moved here now, it's been 10 years. Within a year, our services has expanded so much. We purchased a building across the street. We've grown in our residential programs. And like I said, we now have 15 apartment and homes out in the community besides our main centers. We're looking at another expansion because we're not waiting list, but we are kind of at almost full capacity space wise. And so, that can be leasing space. We also do a lot of community based stuff, but we're looking about doing it's like a 40,000 foot expansion with a full service gym, a cafe that will provide training and employment for people to be in the hospitality industry and also be employed by Tradewinds in a kind of like a Starbucks or something like that. But it'll gear to people with disabilities. The gym would be geared to people with disabilities. There are special programs for gyms that are set up for people with disabilities, but I don't think there's many of them in this area. And so we'd like to focus on that. We do provide the physical fitness opportunities for our clients, but the problem is you have to take them off site. And in Northwest Indiana, transportation is always a big issue. It's hard. There's no public transportation system that really works in this area at this time. So we transport our own people. We have our own vehicles. Long ago, we got out of the public transportation, but we do transport our own, but it's just difficult. So the property would be just north of where I'm sitting right now. So it would be really easy to do. So it's in the infancy stages of all that planning, but that's the expansion I'm talking about. So we can serve more people and not have waiting lists.
Okay. Sounds good. And for the criteria for someone to be accepted into the program, I know you said they have to talk with the state agency. Is there anything specific that they have? I know we talked about the cognitive diagnosis and also developmental delays. Anything other than that they have to have in order to participate with Tradewinds?
I almost always like to listen to what people say because you never know. People may be communicating and coming at it from a different, and when you talk, you may realize you have common ground. So to answer your question, my best suggestion is call our admissions department, come in and talk to them, tell them what the needs of whomever it is are, and let us figure out if we can't help you, give you a referral, because we can refer you to other places too if it's not something that we do. So call our admissions department, set up an appointment, and have the initial discussion. And that's the best way to figure out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Someone talked about your child care programs. I know you mentioned it earlier. and you said that you have childcare as early as was it in 6 weeks? I forget.
Infants, yes, we have infants, 2-year-olds, and 3 to 5-year-olds. So again, we, as you said, that's so important to get kids started at such an early age, because the quicker you do that, the more progress you can make. And so we take kids on our early Head Start program, which is a certain funding source, but we also take private voucher as well. And so it's like I said, it's integrated. So some of our staff use it as just, as their daycare. So, cause it's convenient for them, and their child may or may not have any developmental issues, but I would say 80% in our kids program have some type of disability. And again, some of it's behavioral issues that you just need to work through, and they can overcome that. But probably 80% need some type of assistance to help them, when they grow up, reach their full potential. And like you said, you didn't talk for 5 years, and look at, I've heard so many people said, when I went to Tradewinds, people said this, I had this, and they're leaders in the business community now. So it's amazing. It's amazing what can be done so easily.
Absolutely.
50, 60, 70 years when we started, there was the stigma, but now it's just, it's routine, where people come, and it seems like it's a big problem. And by the time they're adults, everything's great.
Well, that speaks to the work that you guys are doing. Latoya, will your admissions department assist from start to end, or do they make the referral and then leave it to the customers to follow through?
Well, the admission department assists from start to end, or do they make the referral and leave it? We're not. Yes and no. I'm a big believer that we're here to help, and I don't think our job is done just because we can say we talked to you and we shoveled you off to somebody else. That being said, we have to be careful, because we are not allowed. It's consumer choice. So we're not really allowed to. That's why you have to go to admissions and then go through the FSSA or the BEADS department, because it's consumer choice. So we have to allow you the ability to see all the options out there, and you pick Tradewinds. We can't really force you. So you will be required to follow through on your own, but I certainly would hope that if you called us back and wanted some more advice or suggestions, that we would be going above just, you came to us and we told you what to do. So it's kind of a yes or no question. Once we tell you, you have to follow the rules of the system. But if we're not doing what we should to assist, I'm pretty visible. I don't hide. Tell me if we're not doing a good enough job, and I'll see what I can do to fix it. I don't know if that answered the question, but
I think you're pretty straightforward. I think it did. Now, I know you talked about childcare. Do you guys provide preschool as well?
We use the early Head Start curriculum for our kids, so that's the curriculum we use. Yes.
Okay. And then another question is, some childcare or preschool, they will say, okay, well, if the kid is 2 or 3 and they're getting ready to start the early child, Head Start, they have to be potty trained. Is that the case here? Because some kids with developmental delays, they probably are not. They're just trying to figure out, potty training. So what does that look like? Are they in pull-ups? Can they come, or do they have to fully be in, undergarments for them to participate in the program?
You know what? You've stumped me. I would have to research that question.
Okay.
But cut me some slack. We have a lot of programs here, and I try to be as involved as I can with all of them. I've just never gotten that detail yet. I can find out the answer. Not today. There's not many people here on Saturday, but
and you would not believe how many families are like, oh, I have to get back to work, but my kid is having some developmental delays, and I've been trying my best to potty train, but they're just not ready yet. And so a lot of daycares or preschool or Head Start, they won't let them come if they're not fully potty trained.
I expect our staff to go above and beyond helping people. I'm not a, this is the black and white rule. If we can help somebody, we want to help somebody. So I would assume, unless there's a great reason, that we do everything we can to not set a rule that makes it difficult for a family. But maybe there's some type of regulation or rule.
Okay.
So I don't want to, I would need to read, and I can research that, but.
Okay,
Or
thank you.
if that's your question or a specific or someone else's.
I was just saying it for the for the viewers, because I hear that a lot. Like, oh, my kid can't go to preschool yet because they're not potty trained. They're 3, but they're not potty trained yet. Halfway, but not all the way.
I'm happy to follow up and let you guys, if it's something you critically want to know.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Gold?
No, but I'd just like to speak to the things that they provide, because the services they provide, because back a long time ago when I was graduating from college, and it speaks to the employment piece of it when he was talking about getting employment for some of the people that they have services for. We hired, so I worked at Walmart back in the day. I was store manager, and so
he froze.
He froze. Well, since he froze, I would like to ask you a question really quick. He had it, I didn't. You froze, Amaru. Real quickly, I heard you say they have speech therapy and occupational therapy. Does Tradewin also provide mental health services for clients?
Oh, different question. Sorry. Not directly.
Okay.
But you'll find because there's mental health, that they have their own agencies, but you'll find that a lot of times it's not black and white. This person has this person has this. If someone has this issue, a lot of times they have this issue. So we do deal with that, but not that we're not the specific place to go to if that's the primary diagnosis.
Okay, so if it's secondary, gotcha. I'll send my information to you just in case, but that was a question Amaru wanted to know. Thank you. Yes, this is a question from Latoya. She said,
and follow up with me off time with anything you want me to answer for you. I'm easy to find. I don't hide. I'm easy to find.
I sure. Well, we're locked in now. We will hope to be a partnership with you guys too, to help you keep spreading the information about how to sign up for services. Latoya wants to know, are the consumers paid when they work in the different departments?
First of all, you can tell Latoya has worked in the industry because she calls them consumers, and over time they change. We change. The industry changes what we're supposed to call them. So I think it's still consumers, but I'm thinking I've been recently thinking about that we're still supposed to call them. But anyway, that was an aside. They're paid when they're in a program that they're to be paid for. So if they are in our pre-vocational program, they are paid. And if they are in, for example, our ADAPT program, Adult Day, I can never remember what the acronym stands for. That's not a paid program. It's more of a training program. So everybody's different. Everybody's needs are different. It just depends. Again, it's consumer choice. So the family can decide what program, for the most part, they want to be in. So they're not paid in every department because some of it's not considered work, it's training. But if they're in a work department, then they're paid, yes.
Okay. Thank you. And Amaru, you were breaking up, so me and Mr. Gold, we kind of had some conversation. But go ahead.
We were talking about you.
Yeah,
sure. No, so when I hired the client, when I hired the worker, we were providing service for the worker because, like you said, they would need assistance on the job. And so what would happen, though, was because they would get stigmatized, and we would have our managers meeting, and you would see they work just, if not harder, than someone who's full functioning. And so because they understand, like, they don't want to be looked at as someone carrying a burden, like, oh, so like, it's like any other person. And so
it's a sense of self-worth to have a job and make money. It's a sense of, and they take pride in it, no doubt about it.
Yes. And so it was cool to see that. And so I got that very early in my career. And so that's why I appreciate the service that you got to provide, because I've seen it happen other places who provide those type of services, the impact that they have on their lives. And so that's why this interview was cool. And then how we got the interview because one of your board members posted a video of I think it was young adults they were singing.
Oh yeah, we have a choir. They sing it at some of our events. They're great.
Yeah, they were singing, and so I'm like, that's cool. But then I saw Trey Wins. I was like, Trey Wins. So of course I felt some way about it, and so I just inboxed her, and then she was like, hey, I could put you in contact with all these, John and Lisa, and so I was very appreciative of that. But I say that to say the power of social media, in a positive way, right? Because we all see it done in a negative way. But I'm so grateful because, again, like my life and others, like people who wouldn't know all the services that you provide. I think that's awesome. A lot of people, like she said, that stigma, Trey Wins must something must be wrong with you. No, they actually provide wealth of services, and it's a place where I would say milk and honey, right? But milk and honey type of deal, you can get whatever you want. Just come see them, and so that's
and
cool.
check out our website to see all the things that we do and who to contact. A lot of our information's on there.
Okay.
So with that, we don't have any more questions. One more thing I would like to add. So this podcast was created to spotlight businesses in the area, right? A lot of times we see it done in a negative fashion, specifically the city of Gary. And so, we love this conversation because we provide events in the area, specifically the Edna area, which is in Gary, Indiana, was cleaning up the neighborhood, park cleanups, back to school supply giveaways, just all type of events. And so we would love to partner with you just on something, because I'm blown away by, because it's kind of some of the things that we're doing, we align. And so so it's refreshing to see that. And so again, that's why this podcast was created, to be a part of that conversation, to be a part of the solution, just not always part of the problem.
Great. And we service people, and we serve a lot of people from Gary. We transport them to Trey Wins, or that we service in the community. So just because our main center moved out of there doesn't mean we're still not servicing. We have great partnership with the Railcats, and our consumers love going to the games, and they sing. We have a Trey Wins night, and they sing the national anthem. Our choir sings the national anthem there too. It's pretty cool.
But that's good to hear. Go ahead. We have our word of the day.
Word of the day is wisdom. The Swahili interpretation is hekima, and is a complex human trait that involves using knowledge and experience to make good decisions and judgments. The departure of people. I think that is very fitting for this show. With that said, do you have any closing thoughts, Candace, as we conclude?
I am just honored to be able to speak with you and talk with you about all of the services that Trey Wins actually provides to the community. Again, some people don't reach out and find out information because they don't know where to get it. And so the resources that you have just offered to the community, I think will be great. I'm not sure how many phone calls you will get or how many emails, but I'm sure people will probably start contacting you guys, knowing that you provide business services, you provide, daycare, childcare, preschool services, and all the other benefits, not just for children, but also for adults. You have residential facilities, apartments. And so sometimes people struggle with finding somewhere to live, or parents are just wanting the kids out of the adult children out of the house, getting them somewhere to live, knowing how to contact the state, and then also that you guys will give them referrals if you can't help them. So thank you again for all of the information. We'll definitely be in contact. I am going to contact you about those sidebar questions.
You have my contact information. If you have anything that you want to have follow up, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Well, thank you, John. Yep. And then, do you have any closing thoughts, John?
My closing thoughts, I guess, are that Trey Wins and agencies like Trey Wins are great organizations that do great things. I wouldn't have been here for almost 40 years if that wasn't the case. And it's just you walk in, and I know it's biased, but you just get a good vibe. The people that we serve, they're happy. They just want to be treated like everybody else, and they just want opportunities to have a good life. And it's just, I've been lucky that I've been able to come here for so long and see it. So that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, John. I see you work on the weekends, and so I visit on the weekends. So maybe one weekend I'll come in and take a look at the facility if you don't mind.
I'm gonna take it. I'm here a lot, to be honest with you. I'm on a week. I'm on most week, unless I'm out of town. I'm here probably here on the weekend.
Okay. And Latoya says thank you. Also, I want to shout out Latoya. It has is it a home health or residential facility that she has? That she does like believe nursing. And where is she? Is she in Porter County?
Yes, she's in Portage. She's in Portage, but it's like
okay.
She is in Portage, so she has a facility that she has opened up as well. So shout out to her and her business. So if anybody,
good luck and thank you for participating, Latoya.
Okay, so it's a home health care that she has. So if anybody's interested in Trade Winds and in home health care, please contact Mr. Gold with Trade Winds and Latoya for her home health care. And I think we have her information if you guys would like that. So again, thank you. And that's it for us.
Have a good night, guys. Enjoy the Bears play.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.